We are super excited about tonight's session. It is a program that is near and dear to our hearts. We are super excited to have Verenice Castillo with us, who is the founder of Military Spouse Advocacy Network, which does amazing things for military spouses around the globe, including mentorship, education, and other resources, along with connection, which Amy and I obviously have a huge heart for. So with that, welcome, Verenice, and thank you for joining us. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Sounds good. Amy, Sheila, thank you so much for having me tonight. And I'm very excited to be here and right now to see so many familiar faces and new faces as well. But well, I'm going to have this as a conversation. I want you guys to feel comfortable. That way we can keep going back and forth. We can get to share. You can ask questions. And hopefully when we leave this conversation, you feel empowered and you feel that you have a community and you have someone to talk to, other people that you relate to. Because a lot of the times we forget that as military spouses, we think that we are the only ones going through something, when in reality, there's so many of us going through that. So hopefully this conversation will help to start building those relationships. I'm Verenice Castillo. I'm the founder and CEO at Military Spouse Advocacy Network. And Military Spouse Advocacy Network started 10 years ago. I'll get to the opportunity to share a little bit more about MSAN, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and my background. I am an Air Force spouse. My husband retired almost 4 years ago from the Air Force after serving for 27. And we went all over the place, as you can imagine. And I don't miss the military as much as he does because I'm still so involved in it. But I love the experience. But that, of course, there were also a lot of challenges. And one of the biggest challenges, it was, I am an immigrant from Mexico, and I came to the United States when I was 16. And that was the very first time that I experienced leaving everything behind to come to a place where I didn't know the language, I didn't know people, and I had to leave everything behind. And then a few years later, I meet my husband. And back then he was stationed, he was actually in the Army when we met back in 1999. And he told me, hey, I'm in the military, so we're going to move around. And what I thought he meant is we're going to move around houses. And I never really talked about what you mean by moving. So we got married. We got married 4 months after we met. I mean, I don't say this to a lot of people, but hey, it was 4 months later. We've been married for 25 now. But when it was time to move from my hometown in El Paso to move to the very first time, I was like, what do you mean we're leaving El Paso? He's like, yeah, that's what I meant when we move around. I was like, I don't want to leave. So that was my very first experience as a military spouse, having to leave everything behind. And like when I was 16 years old, that was like a trigger. I left everything behind, my home, my work. I was going to school. And once again, feeling that I was out of place in a community I didn't know, a language I didn't understand. And at the moment, I thought I was the only one because I will see other military spouses having, a good time and having friends and everything. And I thought the only one that I was feeling isolated, the only one that I wanted to go back home, the only one that I wanted to leave everything and say, I'm going back to my parents' house. But it was my husband, the one that told me, you need to talk to other spouses because probably they're going through the same thing. And they were. So that's how I started volunteering. And I said, you know what? I need to become a mentor to the younger spouses, to those that don't know the lifestyle. I don't want them to feel the same way that I did. And that's what I did. I became a mentor for many, many years until one day it kind of grew from there. I started working closely with our installation at Maxwell Air Force Base. And I told them we need to teach our spouses resiliency. This was in 2011, before resiliency was such a big word and such a big thing like it is now. And I told them we need to develop a program. So with the key spouses, family advocacy, the Readiness Center, and we all came together and developed this amazing program that was helping military spouses and my husband's squadron. But it was so well taken by the spouses that it started to grow. And it went from our squadron to other squadrons, to other installations, and eventually to other branches. The Air Force took the concept of the program and developed it as a very first resiliency training for spouses at an Air Force level. This was in 2012, 2013. And at that moment, I was thinking, oh, great. Now I can volunteer and teach spouses more things and now they can learn about resiliency. And it started growing and growing and growing. So my ability to mentor, it was now I can no longer do it because there's so many people. And probably I need to train other spouses so they can help me do the same thing. And it started just as a group of other military spouses, mentoring military spouses, that we were kind of pushed into creating a nonprofit organization. My mentor came to me and said, hey, this is too big now. Now you need probably to create a nonprofit. And like many of you, I told her, probably many of you will say the same. Oh, no, I never done anything with nonprofit. I don't know how to run it. I don't even know what it is. I don't want nothing to do with it because I am afraid that if I do something wrong, I'll go to jail. And I don't want to go to jail. So I'll just help spouses on my own. And she told me, well, just think about it. You can bring mentors that can help you how to run the nonprofit and they can teach you how to do it. But now it's about your mission is beyond what you can do. You already brought spouses under your wing and you supported them. Maybe now it's time for you to go a little bit to the next level, train people to help you to do the same and have a bigger outreach. And of course, by saying that, I felt guilty because I was thinking, man, so I'm just thinking about myself. What makes me feel good, what I want to do, what I can do. I guess we have to take it to the next level. And that's how MSAN was born 10 years ago. As a nonprofit, many of us are always thinking maybe we need to do a nonprofit. I'm already advocating. I'm already a big support of the community. What can I do? And I said, you know what? I have this idea of creating a peer-to-peer mentorship program, but with growing it to actually bring training and education so their spouses can be advocates and community leaders. And I brought this idea to other nonprofits, bigger established nonprofits. But 10 years ago, the word mentorship was not a big thing. They were like, oh, good for you, what you're doing. But we're doing something else. So just kind of like do your thing and good luck. And I said, okay, fine, we'll do the nonprofit thing. And we focus on just that. But I was very scared. I was very scared because I knew it was going to take a lot of my time. I knew that I was going to be away from spending time with my family because it takes so much time and effort. But I had the support of my husband and my kids. But I was afraid that I was going to fail my community. As you guys know, having a nonprofit can be also very complicated. You can make it, sometimes you don't, and you end up failing the community. And that was my biggest fear, that instead of filling a gap, I was going to create another one. But I brought wonderful people close to me that helped me to actually do just that. The nonprofit starts, and then, of course, what happens? I start pitching the elevator pitch, going to military leaders and going here and going there. And everybody was like, yeah, not right now, thank you. Yeah, and you know what? And I will go back home and I would tell my husband, oh my God, you're going to get fired because I talked to so-and-so and I don't think they were very happy with what I was saying. And every time I will say that, and he will tell me, if I get fired because you're doing the right thing, don't worry about it. But I was so afraid that I didn't know if I was communicating correctly, although I was always respectful and I always try to bring a solution to a problem and not just sound like I was complaining. But I was so fearful that I did not know if I was communicating correctly with a military leader, with a community leader, or someone that I just needed to understand the needs of our community. And once again, I saw myself that I was in a position where I had the passion, like we all do. I had a vision, like we all do, but I did not have the training that I needed in order to be able to bring the problem into the table and to bring people and to understand and also collaborate and support us with what it was needed. I was afraid that everybody was going to think that I was just complaining and that I was throwing people under the bus or that I was telling somebody, you're not doing the good job. So as MSAN kept on growing, I realized one of our pillars is education, how we're going to educate people. So I started pitching the idea that we were going to start bringing professional leadership training to our community, to the military spouses that we support, the mentees that we have now through the mentorship hub, or in any other spouse that wanted to be part of this training and now pay it forward and become bigger advocates in our community. So 5 years ago, I brought the idea to Harvard University and PLI, which is the National Preparedness Leadership Initiative. And PLI was born at Harvard University when Katrina happened. When Katrina happened, President Bush contacted MPLI at Harvard University and said, hey, we are dealing with a crisis. We have federal employees that don't know how we are dealing with things. We need training. And that's how this training was created, to train those federal employees that deal with crisis, such as FEMA, FAA, DHA, all of these big departments that deal with crisis within our nation. When I saw this training, I realized that it was exactly what military spouses need. Why? Because we are community leaders, because we are making change in our communities, because we want to make it better. And our life is a crisis situation. It becomes normal, but it's not normal. Our lives are so unpredictable that we're always in a crisis and in a reactive mode, because it's always pick up, get up, and go. And you have to have everything ready. And sometimes that's why it's difficult for spouses to navigate with the journey of being a military spouse, because it's difficult, because no one is telling us that although it's not okay and it's not normal, we have to be prepared for it. So when I introduced this to Harvard University, they were like, yep, we want to do just that. And we want to help the military spouse community. And they were so supportive that they said, you know what, this training that we have, we're going to kind of like adjust it to make it military spouse friendly. So we're going to interview some military spouses. We're going to understand the lifestyle, and we're going to kind of like adapt the training to military spouse lifestyle. And it was amazing. It was an amazing program. It's an amazing program. We started once a year in 2021. Now we have 2 cohorts as of last year. We have graduated 250 military spouses, and over 4,000 people have applied for this program. So almost every time we have received 1,000 applications and we only select 50. The reason why we don't grow the program beyond 50 is because we want to keep the cohorts small so that relationships can born. Because we want spouses to build relationships, to work together, to collaborate. And if we make it big, it's going to become a conference. And a lot of the times, relationships are not built. And we want to make sure that all of our spouses that come through this training keep those relationships, and even beyond that, as an alumni program. So I'm telling you all of this to show you a little bit of the picture that I had. That as a younger spouse, I wish I had someone to talk to, someone to mentor me. I wish I had the training that I needed so that I could be a successful advocate and community leader, and then be able to pay it forward and make a difference in the community. But as you guys know, we all have the vision. As military spouses, we all have the passion. We all want to do just that. But a lot of the times we don't even know where to go, where to start. So MSAN is doing just that. Through our peer-to-peer mentorship program, we have a mentorship hub. We're open 24/7 to provide military spouses support on anything the lifestyle related, current employment, mental health. We do not duplicate any efforts. We actually collaborate with other nonprofits and DoD resources, and that's what we send spouses to. But we want to be that kind of like that emotional responder entry level. We're here to support you. We got you. From here, we'll help you out there. The mentorship hub is full of educational training, from financial readiness to mental health to self-improvement. And it's for spouses to find a safe community. It's virtual. And this is where they also get to talk to their mentors. And there's so much that happens inside the mentorship hub. And then at the end, we now have that leadership program that is building that full circle of support that I wish I had. From coming as a brand new spouse, not knowing the lifestyle, to going through the full circle of programs, and at the end, be a prepared advocate and now get out there and pay it forward and make a difference in our community. And that's what I started doing. And it's been a wonderful experience. Not an easy one. I share with everybody and some of the alumni that are here from the leadership program. When I started the nonprofit, many times I was so ready to throw it out the window, because I was thinking, I'm not making a difference. This is not for me. I don't know what I'm doing. Why did I decide to do? But I will have people that will tell me, remember, why are you doing this? Well, yes, it's because I want to help people, and I don't want any other spouse to feel the same way that I did. Because if it's only one spouse that I can help, that's what matters. And that's what it will bring me back and where I needed to remember that it was not about having something big. It was not about taking over the world and changing the world in 2 days. It was going to take time, but I needed to remember that. I always wanted to make sure that MSAN was not what I call it, a sparkle. There's every time you hear about new programs, new nonprofits, new this, new that, and they're so shiny and they're sparkling everywhere and everybody's talking about it. But then in 30 seconds, they're gone because they were just shiny, but they were not doing much. And that is something that I always said, I do not care for being shiny or being a sparkle and be gone in 30 seconds. I want to make sure that we are supporting our community, even if it's step by step by step, little by little, but we will eventually get there. And that's what we did. We actually launched one program at a time. It was not all the programs at once. In 10 years, we did the peer-to-peer mentorship at the very beginning. Then 5 years later, we did the mentorship hub. And then 5 years ago, the leadership program. So you don't have to focus about doing it all at once. It will eventually come. But it wasn't easy, but very rewarding. And one of the things that is happening right now, MSAN has always said, we will never change our mission and we will never change our focus. It feels like every quarter there's a new theme or a new topic, a new need, because our needs are there. But then when we highlight just one, we all run in that direction, and then we leave all the other gaps behind. And instead of supporting, we are creating more gaps. I always said that as long as I am the CEO of MSAN, we will never change our mission because we will not build any more gaps. So we have never changed the mission and what our focus is on. But we have grown the programs, but we have not changed our mission. So something that is happening right now, the Leadership Development Program, like I said, this is our 5th year. And we went from one cohort to 2 cohorts to now other universities approaching MSAN and saying, hey, we want to be part of this. What is it that you guys are doing? And it sounds really cool. So, excuse me, we now have Notre Dame University as part of the leadership program. And they want to bring more training. And then we also realized that a lot of the applicants are younger spouses or they want leadership training, but they don't have any idea where they want to go, or they don't have any idea how they want to utilize the training, but they know that they want to start their journey as leaders. So instead of rejecting those applications or those applicants because they don't have the experience, so they don't know where to start, we just developed a what is called now the Emerging Leaders Program. It's going to be a leadership training for entry-level leadership. For those newer spouses, for those that are wondering, is this for me? Do I want to do it? Where do I start? And then from there, they have the opportunity to be more prepared to go and apply for the training with Harvard University. And then from there, we are bringing a higher level leadership training with Notre Dame for our alumni. And that includes 2 separate trainings, some mental health with micro certifications, and it's just it was continuing to grow, that the team and I sat down and we said, okay, something is going to happen here. And once again, we were pushed to grow, and we were pushed to grow from this Military Spouse Leadership Development Program into what is now known as of Monday as the Leadership Institute for Military Spouses. And what this is going to be doing is it's going to continue to bring more leadership training for military spouses for free from the best educational institutions that you can think of. So right now we have Harvard University, we have Notre Dame, and we are starting conversations with other universities. So our focus is to make sure that you have a spouse as a support from another peer at any time of the day to just provide guidance, even just to talk to someone and have a community to provide you the best leadership education and training that you need so that you can help us to pay it forward and help us to continue to fill the gaps. So if you have a vision and you think it's too big, nothing is too big. I thought that what I was thinking of, it was unrealistic, it was too big, it probably was for me too big. But when you think about the needs in our community and how much support our fellow military spouses need and that we need ourselves, no dream is too big. we gotta make a difference. We gotta make things better. And if we put a little bit of effort in it, of course, between all of us, we can make it happen. So I am gonna leave it there because I mean I can continue to talk, but I can talk forever. But I want to be able to answer any questions that you guys may have or anything that you want to share. But if I remember, I'll keep thinking about it because there also, if you have if you want to learn a little bit about how I did it with the nonprofit and the challenges that I experienced and the no's that I got. And at the beginning, the no's will make me cry, but now the no's to me, they're a challenge. And like, oh, really? Okay, we'll make it happen. And I'll go around it and we'll make it happen. So, I mean, I went from struggling to being unsure to not having enough confidence. And I don't have it all right now. I mean, I still struggle with that from time to time, but you learn and you become more into, okay, you don't know it, I'm gonna make you understand it, or you don't understand it, I'm gonna help you understand it. It becomes a challenge in a good way that it continues to motivate me on a daily basis to do what I do. But like I said, I mean, if you guys want to ask about anything, please go ahead and ask me about anything. And I mean, let's have a conversation here. So if anybody wants to raise their hand or just unmute yourselves, I'm open for that. And no questions or we don't have any questions, I can continue talking. So I don't know if we have any questions in the chat, Amy or Sheila.
Not as of yet, just lots of compliments about the program. I would love to let anybody ask questions now. Anybody have anything off the top of their head?
And if it's not a question, even if it's just a comment, that's good too.
I'll jump in because I'm not afraid to jump in and talk to my friend. Hello, Verenice. So great
Hey,
to see you in
Sean.
person and all the other individuals around the world. That having been side by side with you in different components from the days of being there at basic training and telling all of those brand new spouses what a wonderful opportunity this would be to going through the mentorship program and smiling along the way as other spouses be like, "Do you need a mentor, sir?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that would be great." And that as we smile, and some of you actually have heard my story a little bit more, so that is kind of a humorous thing. What has been the moment that really has been the aha or has been a opportunity to say, this is why I'm doing this?
I have an example of those days, Sean, that we used to go to basic training. So MSAN has a collaboration with basic training for the Air Force and Space Force in San Antonio, Lackland Air Force Base. So thanks to Lizzie Generis, who is here, she supported us all the way until she helped us to get in. And we had already been working on an MOU with the Air Force for like 4 years, and we were not going anywhere. And she's like, "Oh, we'll make it happen. We'll do something." And so thank you, Leslie, for that support. And there was one time when I was there and I got to meet a 17-year-old, and she was 7 months pregnant. And I got to talk to her and I said, "So what's happening?" And I mean, I was all excited because I was doing this graduation and you think everybody's excited. And then she starts crying and she's like, "Well, I'm getting married tomorrow and then I have to go back home and I'm gonna do high school online so I can graduate. Then in 2 months I have a baby and then we're gonna move." She was not even 18 years old yet. I mean, she was gonna be 18 soon. But at that moment, I realized that number one, military spouses did not look the same way they did when I married my husband 20-some years ago. And although it was challenging, it was not the same way. And she was younger than even my oldest son. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." So I just grabbed her and I was like, I wanted to cry with her and I was hugging her and I was like, "Don't worry, you're gonna be okay. We're gonna get a mentor. We're gonna make sure that you're doing this and doing that." And that helped me, number one, to realize that the military spouse looked completely different to the way it did when I married my husband. And that was a big eye opener to know that what we were doing, it was even needed more than back then, because now I was meeting a 17-year-old who was 7 months pregnant, that needed to finish high school, about to have a baby, and to leave home for the very first time. And I was almost 25 when I married my husband. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, if I was so lost back then, I cannot even imagine at 17 and you're growing up and you're about to become an adult and a parent and a spouse and everything. So I realized with that example that how everything had changed and how we were doing something good. And it has been one of the things that I would share this example with everybody because it's what keeps me grounded. That this is a modern military spouse. This is how the demographics look like now. And a lot of the times we don't know it, and it's so hard to relate to it because we just don't understand it. So to me, the aha moment, it was even for me as a military spouse, an older seasoned military spouse, to understand and to get to see the younger military spouse, how they look like, their expectations, their needs, everything is completely different. So it's exciting that I get to learn from them on a daily basis. I don't go to basic training as much anymore, but I still get to see and to read their their needs and their experiences and their everything when they join the mentorship hub. I still get to see where they're coming from, what they're needing, and what they're looking for. But Sean, that I always think about it, and I talk to everybody about it because it's unbelievable that when you go 10 years later, we forget about that very first day. We forget about the brand new military spouses that we were, what we needed, what we were looking for. And it's not until you meet someone that you're like, oh my goodness, I was there. Oh my goodness, that was me. But then at the same time, it's like, oh my goodness, it's worse now. I mean, in a way that they're younger. Their experience is not worse, but their needs in the situations, they're not the same way that they were when we were younger. So yeah, that always stays in my heart. It's so close to me. And that happened probably like 5 years ago. And it still is like a big impact. But thank you for asking.
We had a hand raised as well, Megan. If you still have a question, we'd love to hear what you had to ask.
I was able to get on the website and answer it myself, but thank you.
Oh, perfect. We do have one in the chat, Verenice, that's been answered, but I would love to highlight that on the video. Today is a first introduction to MSAN. How widespread is the spouse network? For example, are spouses from all services represented, all ranks, organizations?
Yeah, great question. So we support all branches and post 9/11, veteran spouse, retiree, surviving spouses, Gold Star spouses, and then of course active duty. All branches, National Guard, reserves, everybody's welcome. When MSAN started 10 years ago, our military spouse program, the mentorship program, was only for brand new spouses because that was the focus, brand new spouses. But when COVID-19 hit, we had so many spouses reaching out to MSAN because they needed a mentor. They needed someone to talk to. And, it was a little bit crazy that we were like, we're going to have to open it to everybody. We cannot reject anybody. And at that moment, we decided to open MSAN to all military spouses, all the branches, including, like I said, post 9/11 retirees, veterans, caregivers, surviving spouses, and Gold Star spouses. But everybody's welcome. Male spouses, we have male mentors, we have male spouses inside the hub, younger spouses, older spouses, seasoned spouses. So we have them. When it comes to demographics, we're very, very covered with male, female, ages, ranks, you name it. I mean, inside the military hub, we're all military spouses, regardless of anything. So, Brittany,
go ahead. Yeah.
So you're muted.
Sorry. I was just curious, are there a few definitive factors you're looking for, or somebody should be looking for when they're applying between the emerging leadership program and the leadership development program? I know
Great question.
The emerging leaders are kind of younger, but also as being like newer to this. I wasn't sure if I fell into that one or the other one.
Yeah. So the emerging leader says not so much young as an age, but young as a leader, regardless of the age. It can be someone that is just thinking about becoming a leader, and it can be a leader at home. And this is something that we teach all military spouses. We are leaders as individuals in our homes. You don't have to have a leadership position at work or be a big advocate in your community, but the fact that you have an idea, a vision, or something that you want to do, and you need the leadership training. That's how we are categorizing both Emergent leader is someone that is just starting, and we're not asking for anything that, oh, we need to know how you're going to apply it. What do you want to do? This is going to be for spouses that just want to learn about leadership and to see if this is something that is for them. So anybody can apply for that emergent leader program. When it comes to the Harvard University one, the leadership development program, and that one, we are looking for the picture of who you are, and even within the application process, it's a little bit more intensive, because the questions that we ask, we want to see you as an individual, who you are, what you want to do, what you're looking for, what is the picture? What is it that you need and how you want to apply it? We're not expecting people to have these big dreams, these big ideas that you're going to change the community or any of that. But even if it's just, you know what, I want to be a leader, but I need more training because I need better communication skills. Because I have this vision that I want to be able to collaborate with my community, or be able to support my neighbors, or be able to support those around me. Those are the things that we're looking for. That how is this training going to support you? Because you get to, with Harvard University, you get to learn about leadership in crisis at home, crisis within your installation, in your community, a bigger crisis on anything, even as an individual. We help you identify those things that take us into a crisis situation, but we help you to learn the skills to how to get out of there. You learn about conflict resolution, how to have tough conversations. That can be with your spouse, that can be with your kids, with your employer, with your neighbors, you name it. So there's a lot of things that you get to learn during the Harvard University training that can help you to get the skills that you want to have in order to go to the next level of leadership. So I hope that explains the difference between one and the other.
It does. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Anyone else? Hey, Monica.
Hey, I want to say thank you for doing this. Thank you, Sheila and Amy, for bringing on Verenice and opening it up to all branches, because I'm Army. And Verenice, I just think you're phenomenal. And I think you know how I feel about just, you have so much information and you're such a great mentor, and you're sharing that with all of us. And that is phenomenal. My question is, when are your next cohorts? I know we're in January and people are starting to plan out their calendar and trying to designate when family can come in, because I know you're scheduled is, you're very dedicated on like a Saturday or something like that. Like you can't miss a session. So for people that are planning and trying to get that, when are your next cohorts?
Yeah. So actually, that's a great question. We're opening applications this coming Monday, and you are the first group to hear about it. So you're going to see it all over social media. On Monday, we open applications for the spring cohort, and we start in April. The website, if you go to our website and you go to the leadership development page, is going to have all the dates. So we start in April, May, June, and we graduate in July. So it's 5 sessions. They are required for you to attend, but as military spouses and life happens, when something happens and there's an emergency, or something happened that you're not going to be able to take the training or participate, then we get to actually make arrangements with the spouses, such as, if it was an emergency, what can we do to help you so that you don't miss a training, or you can watch a recording. So it is kind of like a requirement that you attend all the trainings. But like I said, sometimes emergencies happen, and we are very, very flexible with that, because as military spouses, we completely understand that. And then there's going to be a cohort 2 for the fall, and we start we open the application in August. And actually, Jennifer is here from our leadership program. Jennifer, we start actually Module 1 the end of August, but I can't remember when we open applications.
Give me 1 second to look that up, and then I'll put it in the chat. But the first class is in August.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, and that is also something that is going to be showing in our website, at the same as the date for the emergent leader classes. We will have the dates there, and when the application is going to open.
Thank you so much, Ms. Verenice. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And I'm very approachable. And like Monica said, I mean, if I can have a conversation with you guys because you have a question about something, or you're just wondering, or you're just kind of like trying to, you have an idea, but you don't know how to approach it or how to grow it, or if it's something that you want to do, I'm extremely flexible. If you guys want to reach out to me and you just want to schedule a meeting, probably will not be like right at that the same day, but I'll be able to meet with you guys and have a conversation and mentor you as much as I can. I was in the shoes of that, like I said, the younger spouse, the younger leader, the younger advocate, and I had all the 10,000 questions, and I wish I had that person that will be saying, you know what, you're going too big, or you're not going fast enough, or maybe you're not doing this right. And I don't want other spouses to go through that. So as long as I have the time and you guys approach me or send me an email, I will be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything that you want to talk about, even if it's just to kind of like come and ask more about me and my journey and my life and my everything. I'm an open book. So I'm open to that as well.
Verenice, would you mind
Yes.
explaining the mini certs with Psych Hub?
Yes. So one of the trainings that we have right now, and we started this collaboration with Sci-Hub, and it's a micro certification in mental health. And it is 10 training courses that you take that teach you from how to communicate with someone in crisis, about substance abuse, about domestic violence. It's 10 classes, 10 hours. You earn CE credit hours when you complete all this training, and you get a micro certification from MSAN. And this is going to, you actually can have your logo, your badge, and your email signature that others can identify that you received this training and you are qualified and equipped to have a conversation with someone who's in crisis or in distress, and you're going to be able to support them and guide them to where to go to ask for assistance. And something that we heard a lot is when spouses have gone through the leadership program and they were taking the training, it was such an eye opener. They were like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that at this moment I needed to hear this. I was able to help my daughter that she was dealing with some stuff. I was helping to help a family member. So it was wonderful. But as of last year, we now opened this micro certification on mental health to all military spouses. MSAN covers the fees for anyone that wants to become a mental health ally. You just come to MSAN, you join the mentorship hub, and we sign you up so that you can get this training and receive the micro certification as a mental health ally, so that you can support anyone or just be prepared for anything that can happen. So now everyone at MSAN, everyone that comes our way, everybody has the opportunity to receive that training for free. Not just the leadership program cohorts, but everybody has access to that benefit now. But it's an amazing training. I mean, I don't know if the some of the alumni that are here, if you want to share anything about it, but it was even for me when I took the training, it was such an eye opener when I got to go through those trainings and get to see the things that I was not really aware of.
Yeah, the mental health training is very eye-opening, and it definitely makes you feel more prepared, and just gives you a lot of background to be able to feel confident in helping others and getting them the help that they need. We did have one other question that relates to the program. On the frequently asked questions, it does say that you need to be a member of the hub by June 10th of 2022. Which I think might be outdated. Is there a current deadline for that?
Yeah, usually you have to be a member of the mentorship hub at the time that you submit your application. So that's something to put on our to-do list to update, Jennifer. That was a great catch. But yeah, I mean, as long as they become members of the mentorship hub at the time that they submit their application, they're good to go. And the reason why we require that, number one, because now you get to be part of the MSAN community, where if you want to reach out to a mentor and you have access to everything, we utilize the mentorship hub to communicate with all the new cohorts and the alumni. So we need you to be part inside of the mentorship hub in case if you get selected. That's a way of us to communicate with a cohort, top of emails, but that is the best way for us to communicate with everybody. That's why we require everybody to join the mentorship hub. But that was a good catch. Yeah, I think I saw Elizabeth. I don't know if your hand, I think your hand was raised.
Hello, V. It's so
Hi,
good.
Elizabeth.
So many beautiful faces here and many friends from all over. This is I go back to 2019 when I first met Verenice and was introduced to MSAN, and I had no idea. I was like blown away. I was like, "What? What is this?" So Marine Corps spouse here, so it truly is for all branches, and I'm so glad to hear that it has since then opened up and even further. But my experience, I was a mentor for young Marine Corps spouses. And it was amazing to be able to connect. And some of the spouses weren't young, they were just new to military life. And the beautiful thing is, you connect with them and you may not be stationed at the same location, but every once in a while, it's such a small world, you end up stationed at the same location with your mentee. And I had the opportunity to meet some of my mentees in person, and I am still in touch with them to this day, 5 years later. And so it is a beautiful program that builds relationships and builds bridges. And for me, as a Marine Corps spouse, my world was just the Marine Corps, but being introduced to MSAN, I was introduced to spouses from all of the other branches. And I was able to hear about the reserves and the struggles and the National Guard and hearing their stories. And they're not so different, but they also have those unique challenges that a lot of active duty do not have. And I didn't know about that and how each branch operates differently and the things that work. And sometimes, as a Marine Corps spouse or as a Marine family, you're on a joint base, right? It's not a Marine Corps base. And so it's a different culture, you know. Each branch has their own way of doing things. And it was so nice to be able to have a collective group of spouses that were expertise in their branch. I have a question. This is a safe space to ask it. There's no question is too dumb. It's just ask it. And I knew that I could be vulnerable. I knew that I could come, even as a seasoned spouse. I still had way a lot to learn. And I learned a lot also from my mentees. It wasn't just me talking to them, me teaching them, me guiding them. It was mutual. And I got so much more out of it, I think, than they did. And it is beautiful. I've since moved on, but I've kept in touch with Verenice, and I follow the program. And I've heard so many wonderful things about the leadership development program. I think the emergent leadership program is going to be a really good thing. V, I am so proud of you.
Thank
I am so happy for you. And when I saw this and Amy reached out and she said, "Hey, can you share this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm blasting it everywhere and I'm sharing it everywhere." Just know that we are your biggest cheerleaders and we will always be here, always have your back. And if you're new to MSAN, you will realize that this is a thriving community willing to help you and be there for you. In every way that they can. And if they can't, they'll find someone who can. So I just wanted to share a little bit about how amazing this program is. I myself have not done the leadership development program. I know I have not had the time or the bandwidth. I have since learned I have to say no sometimes and be like, okay, this is the time now. But definitely looking at it for the next cohort for sure. But I mean, it is just, I'm just so happy for you. This is just amazing. And congratulations.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Something that I tell everybody all the time, from all of our volunteers to my fellow spouses like you, when I have an opportunity to chat, that it is because of you guys that we are able to do what we do, that I have still that bandwidth and that passion to do what I do because I get inspired. And without our volunteers, without you guys believing in our mission and what we do, there will be no MSAN. there will be no filling gaps in our community. There will be none of the things that we're doing. I was just blessed to have an idea and blessed to have the right people that helped me to get there, and blessed to be able to have people that continue to empower me and support me and to learn from and to make this happen. So I think it also, from me, I see it the other way, Elizabeth. It's because of you guys that I'm here and that I get to do what I do, because you guys in so many different levels have helped me to continue to do this, and you're part of it. So I tell our volunteers, this is your baby too. It's not mine. I'm not the face. We're all in this. And take it as yours and run with it and be proud and do it to your best, because without them, the puzzle is not complete and we're not going to be able to do it. So you take it, you run with it, it's yours, own it, and be proud of it. So thank you, Elizabeth, for those nice words. And now I see Vince in it.
No, first off, thank you for putting this all together and sharing all this information. I have realized how much information there is and that I'm a member of the hub, which is amazing. However, I'm going to tell on myself and tell you that I'm overwhelmed in the sense of there's so much good stuff. So my question is, what is the top 3 tips to start building those connections and connecting with the one-on-ones and the mentors and the mentees and really conversing? Because I see there's seminars, there's chats, there's connect with different hosts and members. To simplify with all of these resources, what would you suggest is a great starting point to kind of go down and just baby step it in? I'm like, I love this. I love this. Well, I have not looked. This is way better than Facebook. But I'm like, I need to figure out what's the best first steps.
Yeah. That's a great question. We actually have a lot of people that they're like, we don't know where to start. And the last thing that we want to do is overwhelm people. So when you create your profile within the Mentorship Hub, you can follow a checklist and it will tell you introduce yourself. And then right away, you'll have mentors and part of the staff. They go and say, hey, welcome. If you need anything, let us know. So from there, you get to start to identify the names, who is there, who's not there, who's a mentor, who's part of the mentorship team as a staff. And they're always in communication. Even if you just send a chat and a private message and say, hey, I don't know where to start, they'll bring you under their wing and they'll tell you, this is what we can do, this is what is available, here are the mentors, what do you need? So in any way, you can actually reach out to them if you want to do it through the private chat, or you just want to introduce yourself in the hub and say, hey, I am here. What are you guys doing? Who's doing what? Who's who? And they will also be all over the place and making sure that you feel welcome and that you feel supported. Once you start building those relationships and probably getting assigned to a mentor, they'll start giving you guidance such as, hey, if you go to the training side of the hub, you're going to have all these training sessions. Of course, it's on your own pace, but this is what you get to learn. But in the meantime, how can we help you? Is there anything that you need in particular? If not, hey, I'll send you an email from time to time, make sure that you're okay. But if something happens, don't hesitate to reach out and say, now I need help. And right away, we'll be there to support you. So it's not a mentor-mentee relationship when there is an expiration date. There's no such thing as that. And you don't have to be active all the time, because we know that as military spouses, sometimes we are fine for a week or 3 months, and then the sky is falling and everything goes crazy, and then you need help. So it comes and goes. Your mentor will always be there. And there will always be someone to support you regardless of what's going on and when you need that help and when you don't. But you just reach out to us and we'll help you, guide you, and what will be the best thing. But do your profile, follow the checklist, and reach out to one of us or introduce yourself in the hub, and we'll be all over it. And right away, you'll know who to go to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you're part of the hub. Thank you for being part of the hub. I'm going to go look for you and say, hey, good to see you.
Okay, Allison, you're up.
And then someday somebody can teach me where the little hand is. Couldn't we do this on Teams? I'm very versed on that. So my question is kind of like 3-parted. The first part is, how long do your mentors typically stay? Because I'm assuming that they'll get burnt out at some point. How many are they taking on at one time? I'm sure it varies. And then is it always specifically branch? So let's pretend I want a mentor. Am I always going to try to get a National Guard Army? Or am I just getting Army? Am I getting a Compo 3 reserve spouse? Like, what would I get if I called in and wanted to get a mentor? And then how long are they going to last?
Yeah. So the number one, we have volunteers that have been with us for 5, 6, 7 years. And most of the time, the reasons why we lose them is because they find a full-time job, or because they now PCS, and although we keep their position and they can come back if they want to after they settle. But this because of military lifestyle or because of circumstances. But people leave because of those reasons, because we're all passionate about mentoring other spouses, that we always want to stay there because we know what we're doing and we love what we do. So we got volunteers that have been with us for years and they love what we do. And I'll tell you that a lot of the staff that are now part of MSAN, they started with MSAN as mentors, and then they grew as coordinators, and then they went managers, and then now they're directors, and now they are actually part of the staff of MSAN because they've been with us for so long that they have continued to grow within MSAN. How many do they get assigned? I think it all depends. If your volunteers are extremely active, you can probably have 3 or 5 the most, and you don't get any more. If your mentees are not as active, maybe we can give you a couple more because they're not as active, and probably you can be supporting other spouses. But right away, we're always asking. I mean, the internal team within the mentorship program is extremely always communicating. Who needs help, who's doing what, who's feeling like it's too much, what can we do to help you? Can we take some mentees from your list so that we can help you? So there's always a lot of communication, because the last thing that we want is for our volunteers to lose their passion to support their fellow military spouses. So we do everything that we can to support our own volunteers. So when it comes to that, we don't really have a lot of problem of burning out because of you're doing too much, because it's the opposite. We're always staying on top of it to make sure that it doesn't happen. And when it comes to the pairing of mentor-mentee, we usually do it by branch, and if we can, by location. Kind of like what Elizabeth said, if sometimes that way they can meet in person, sometimes you build those relationships, and we want to make sure that we provide all the assistance that we can so that you can build those relationships, because you get to talk about the same installation, the same branch, the same everything, and it's more relatable. Now, we can have mentees that probably they'll ask us, I don't want the same branch. I want to learn about something different. Or I want someone that is just experience on career and employment or financial readiness or something, and we can make the exemption. But the priority is to do it by branch, and if we can, by location.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Allison. Thank you for your question. Anyone else? You guys have the good questions. Yeah, and something that I wanted while I was talking, I was remembering something I didn't mention about the leadership development program is 4 months, and we meet once every Saturday, kind of like what Monica mentioned earlier, once a month on a Saturday for 5 hours, and you get to hear from the instructors at Harvard University. But there's also other sessions where you get to hear from DoD leaders. We were blessed to have Ms. Patty Barron in almost every cohort for the past 3 years. And she will come and she shares about her experience as a military spouse, as a representative of DoD, and what the programs are doing to support the community. At the same time that we have leadership spouses that also come and share their leadership experience and their experience as a military spouse. And then, of course, there's a graduation at the end. And every graduation is kind of like getting better and better and better. So we have from representatives from the White House joining forces. There's a lot of people that actually support this program because they see the value of it. So it can be a little bit intensive, but in a good way. I mean, we're not going to overwhelm you with a lot of things, but it is very intentional because we want to prepare you, and we want to teach you and bring you the most of what I believe you deserve. Monica.
So another question, because I just joined the
Yes.
hub and I am just baffled by, I didn't even know the hub existed. Like I knew your program, I knew the development, and that's what a lot of people in my circle share, but they don't share about the hub. They don't share, about the other aspects of MSAN. And so this was very informative for me. And so I just joined the hub, but I have a question. Do you all have like a one pager or an easy kind of kit so that we can share with some of our younger spouses that there is that mentor mentee? It's not just about your Harvard program or your leadership program, but that you started with this mentor mentee. And for those younger spouses to know those bullet points, like to be able to share, because in what I do, that would be nice to put up with a lot of these young families that I see all the time. And that having them to have that voice, like you were saying, with that new spouse, that 17-year-old, there's a lot of hardships that are coming on when they're coming on board, but they feel so isolated and so alone. And COVID-19 just brought that to a whole new height that no one knows how to interact with each other anymore. So being able to share that you have that program, because again, in my side, I keep hearing of the leadership programs and the amazing things Verenice is doing as she has elevated everything. But knowing that beginner spot of sometimes people just need someone to talk to and to vent to and to survive that day to get to the next day. So if you had like a one pager or something that we can offer locally, I think that would be very beneficial for me and the people that I interact with.
Yeah, that's a great point, Monica. We've seen that how, I mean, MSAN, we had our mentorship program and everything, and we were utilizing it in the hub, but then somehow the leadership development program with Harvard University kind of like took over, and it's just like getting giant, bigger, and we want to make sure that we continue to put the focus into the peer-to-peer mentorship program, because that is the step one. That's where we need to land in order to continue to grow and get to do all the other things. And that's why during graduation, during the leadership program, we talk about this, and I get to talk to the cohort and share my experience, because we want them to remember that no matter the level where we are, we always need someone to talk to and vent. I am one of those. And so I think that we need to continue to remind everybody about it. Our website does have, if you go to, I think the About Us, and then there's something about press release or media. If you go there at the very bottom, there's a way for you to download a flyer of MSAN, and it talks about the peer-to-peer mentorship and of course the leadership program, but it also focuses mainly on the peer-to-peer mentorship support. Now, if you guys want anything more in particular or anything that our marketing team can work on, we will be more than happy to provide what you would like to have. That flyer that we have in the website doesn't work. So thank you, Monica. It will be great if you guys help us to spread the word about that side of MSAN, which is a peer-to-peer mentorship 24/7. And because there's a lot of need out there for sure.
There is. Thank you so much. And keep growing, because I want to keep learning.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you, Monica. Megan.
Hi, thanks so much. I'm feeling a call from someone or a question from someone who was not able to make it on this call tonight. So, what is the difference, or what would you say to someone who's maybe on the fence between emerging leaders and leadership development? Say someone doesn't have a lot of experience in the military community necessarily, but has a lot of business experience with leadership, and so they're not really sure what to take in terms of the courses. So what would you say to them? Is this really like a military focused course with emerging leaders, or is this just, really focused on leadership?
It's pretty much focused all on leadership. The requirement is not that you are an advocate or that you're going to do something for the military community. Even if you're just focusing on your local community that is outside a military installation, that is not something that we're looking for. It has to be military, no. Because no matter what we do, it will affect military families because we live there, because we go to school there, because although it's not focused on military, it somehow will benefit our military communities because they live in those communities. So it doesn't have to be focused on the military community. And the difference between both, the emergent leader is, like I said, is someone that is wondering, do I want to take the route of being a leader? As of the leadership program with Harvard University is, you're a leader, but you need additional skills, you need more development, but you kind of already, that you are one, you just need help to continue to grow. The other one is to help you kind of like wonder, do I want to do it? Is this really a leadership? I didn't know it was that. I thought it was something different, kind of like just a very basic.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay, everyone else. Okay, 0 4. I mean, I don't want to, like I said earlier, I can keep talking and talking and talking, but I don't know, Amy, I'll leave it up to you guys.
I don't want to.
I have one more question if I can ask it.
Absolutely.
Yes, of course.
When will the ethical leadership details come out? Is that coming out more towards the fall? I imagine that's probably not going to be available for spring, but if you say you're like accepted to one of the courses in the spring, is that kind of something that will be available in the fall for you?
Yes. So during the springtime, we might be able to have all the details, such as when we're going to do the very first cohort, what it's going to look like, the requirements, all of that. So I'll tell you that if you get selected to do the emergent leaders, that one isn't going to be as long as 4 months as the Harvard University. Harvard University is 4 months. But the one with Notre Dame is not going to be a one-time thing. It's going to continue to be recruiting, and Notre Dame is only available to the alumni because it's going to be not connected to what Harvard is doing, but you need Harvard in order to get to that next level of leadership training with Notre Dame.
Verenice, I can't believe that this hour has flown by.
That was gone. Yes, I think I was talking too much.
No, you weren't. You weren't. I don't want to stop anybody from learning. So if anybody has any last questions, please speak now or reach out to Verenice.
And I'm going to add my email on the chat.
Yep.
And then, of course, you can also find me on LinkedIn. We can connect through there.
And I'm assuming on the hub, right?
Yeah, correct. You go in on the
there
hub.
You go.
I'm there as well.
Wonderful. Well, to be respectful of everyone's time, I think we will call it a wrap. And Verenice, we can't thank you enough for joining us this evening. And to all of the military spouses who joined us as well, thank you for showing up. Thank you for learning. Thank you for asking questions. We appreciate you all, and we'll catch you next time.